You did mention Marine One. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, HMX-1 at Quantico, Virginia is where I was flying at the time. Took over from the Army the presidential commitment. And we got our first helicopters that were designed primarily to take high-level people around. It wasn't like any other. They were HUSs, the H-34 out in the yard is the same kind of helicopter, but not plush lined, not full of goodies with a picture window and murals on the wall and special soundproofing and a lot of radio equipment and that sort of thing. So that sort of describes the airplane, and we finally got that commitment. And I was a Marine Corps reservist at the time, first lieutenant, and I was one of the plane commanders that was selected to serve the duty up at Anacostia, where if the horn blew, there was an emergency, we left from there to the White House. And they used to do that from time to time just to see if we were awake.
What impact has marine aviation had on history?
It's absolutely huge. If you look at the aircraft carriers and what went on in the Pacific, the fact that when Pearl Harbor happened, the carriers were all out at sea. Had they not been, naval aviation would have been struck a terrible blow, and the war in the Pacific would have looked a lot different. But I think the capability of the Navy Marine Corps team, where the Navy is not only our transport, but has the aircraft to cover us and our work from carriers and the ships that take us where we have to go, makes us a mobile power that can operate anywhere in the world. And I think the other services are totally different. The Army is essentially a land army, and they're not crossing the beach like the Marine Corps does. I think the Marines like to say we're the pointy end of the spear, and we get a beachhead, and then the Army can come in. And I'm not denigrating the Army when I say that. They have a special job, and they do it very well. And our sister service in the Navy is fantastic. It's a short answer to a big question.
Which branch of the military do you think had the biggest impact on history?
As a Marine, I really would have to answer that one way, but I can't do it effectively. I think that realistically, pride aside, all the services work together, and I don't think there's one or the other that has more of an impact. I can't pick one out. The Air Force has a special job to do, the Coast Guard has a job to do, the Navy has their job, Marine Corps and Navy are partners, and the Army has their special job to do. So it's a coordinated effort of all our services.
What is the biggest differentiator between the Marines and the other branches?
The difference really is that we are prepared to move to any site via our Navy ships. The Army would get there by ships during the Second World War. They crossed the Atlantic. But the Marine Corps is designed to go shipboard and cross the beach and an assault landing. I think the Army's role is quite different than that. The Marine Corps is, unlike the Army, has their own aviation assets, which I think is a very important piece. One, our aviators are built around the concept that they're a supporting arm and that we're there to support the infantry. And I might add that every aviator is an infantryman first. We all have to fire the rifle, we all go through infantry training, so we understand what's going on the ground. And we're, I think, better prepared and educated to support ground troops in a way that I think the Air Force is learning how to do, but they like to fly a little higher than we do. Our guys get right down on the ground and work with our ground forces. So I think that's the major difference between the two.